you have the Hecarim came in later on in the draft. Obviously, the Nidalee was banned away from them, but I would have loved to see just go for the Zoe instead. Give Forge something that he can really carry the game with. Here we go anyway, we're on to the draft. So, as you see, eStar once again banning the Nidalee, once again banning the Twisted Fate. This has been a really impressive combo for the side of, for the side of Rogue Warriors. Immediately, eStar banned the Zoe as well. So, we're not going to see Forge on the Zoe. We're not going to see him on the Twisted Fate. Maybe just go for like the Syndra or the Orianna, something like this. But eStar over on the first pick, they could just go with the jungler if they want to. Or they could just go LPL. Open. They could just first pick Redacted. That would be very LPL of them. They're going to do it.
Yeah, honestly, I kind of like this and gives priority towards Ziz, towards that top side, to be able to do what he did in the last game. Maybe not as long range and as safe, but definitely a lot priority and dangerous on the flanks if he can find them.
Yeah, I mean, I would have preferred just go for something like the Kai'Sa or go for something like your Pantheon in the jungle. I think there are much better options right now for first pick, but Samira, Alistar, immediate answer from Rogue Warriors. This is definitely saying, look, Michi, we want you to be a carry. We are going to set you up in this laning phase. We are going to give you an incredibly strong lane to work with, and I'm hoping that the rest of the squad for Rogue Warriors now drafts around that. Get something good for Forge that he can be proactive and move towards that bottom side of the map and get these team fights going. On the side of eStar now, looks like they're going to just get this for Rat once again. He is pretty much a Xayah one-trick this season as far as we've seen, because he's played, I think this will be his 4th game of Xayah out of 5 games.
Yeah, definitely feeling like he's comfortable on this particular pick. Gaz grabs himself a Xayah. Looks like they're going to go maybe towards the Orianna for Irma. I like this with the side of eStar. You know, keep those strong lanes. Keep the fact that, you know that Irma can play very, very well on this Orianna. Yes, missed a couple of shockwaves. Doesn't matter. Still had 6 kill participations by 10 minutes. So definitely something they want to try and continue on going into this next game. Overall, though, Rogue Warriors, I like the fact that they take away the Alistar. They're taking it away from Xiaoxi, who, again, had an MVP performance, and they want to make sure that Chocho has a much better time in this bot side.
Yeah, so you can see with the way that Rogue Warriors are drafting so far, it looks like they want to go with a similar style of composition to what they built last game, where last game it was like, everyone just go in, smash your ultimates, wombo combo, easy peasy. Unfortunately, Michi on the Kai'Sa didn't really have the damage to do it. This time he's a Samira, which definitely fits that same kind of playstyle as the rest of the composition. I just really want them to pick something like the Syndra, for example, for Forge. Give him something that can also impact the team fight. It's an incredibly good team fighting mid laner, but it also offers the damage. It offers a second threat for the team.
Yeah, I completely agree. And you combo that, we know how powerful Samira and Alistar is. Samira falling a little bit off the priority picks, I suppose, as it was a relatively easy thing to counter if you didn't get the Alistar with it, but with the safety and the engage you get with the Alistar, should be pretty easy for Chocho and Michi to be able to make things happen in that bot side. And you can see they're banning things that can maybe catch out this Samira. A Hook, a Zenith Blade, Thresh, and Leona off the board.
And on the side of eStar now for the final ban, I wouldn't be surprised to see it. Oh, it's actually going to be Lilia aimed at Harrow here. Bear in mind, Graves is still available. Harrow could always just go for something like Graves. It's not like this team is lacking engage, so if you do want to just find damage threats, you don't know your jungle matchup yet, but Graves is pretty safe. Looks like they are going to go for the Syndra I mentioned earlier. It's very easy to pick that into Orianna. It's a relatively neutral matchup, so Forge is going to be fine and be able to scale up in towards the fights.
Yeah, feels like it's Syndra versus Orianna is more of a skill-based matchup rather than a hard counter either way. You can make it look completely broken for either side if you get far enough ahead. For eStar, still waiting to see what their support and jungle will be. They are hovering over the Pantheon, which, yes, Hacker had an okay game with, didn't look exceptional on it, but does like the early priority that it gives, and they are going to lock that one in. Can technically go to support, so we'll have to wait and see what their last pick is.
Looks like it might be Xayah Rakan, which, you know, the Leona was banned away. We've got the Alistar's already locked in, so you're kind of running out of these aggressive supports to go for. So Rakan stepping up to the plate to try and fill in where the other bans have removed that engage. So Xiaoxi has that ability to set things up for his team once again. Really good combo with Orianna as well. Really good at following up on Pantheon's engages and vice versa. So I don't dislike that at all. And now over to Rogue Warriors. They've just got to pick up... wait a second. Aatrox and Gnar. Is this Aatrox jungle?
Aatrox jungle. Taking a leaf out of Beishong. Yep, the Beishong special is how are we going to take on the Aatrox. We've seen two sides of Aatrox. We've seen him be unkillable raid boss, and we've also seen him be literally nothing in a team fight. We're like a speck of dirt getting, you know, washed across the battlefield. I want to know what kind do you think Harrow's going to be, because I don't feel like, especially against Pantheon, he can be as aggressive as he was in the first game in the early stage.
I think it's down to, first off, obviously it's going to be down to how the early game goes. It's always the way it's going to go. Aatrox's not necessarily the king of the early game when it comes to jungle. I would assume that Pantheon has more impact in the early game. Let's just bear in mind, like, I'm kind of going to be learning this matchup as we go. I can't say that I'm an expert on Pantheon versus Aatrox jungle matchup right now in Season 11. But I would anticipate the Pantheon to be doing a bit better early. But once you've got a couple of items coming in, once you've got a couple of levels on the ult especially, Aatrox becomes an absolute monster in the team fights. I will say, though, eStar, once again, have a composition that can kite decently well during these team fights with the Orianna, with the Xayah. So it might be difficult for Harrow to find the giant team fight engage that he's looking for with this Aatrox.
We'll have to wait and see. eStar and Rogue Warrior are locked in for this game 2. eStar looking to set out a clean 2-0 and keep themselves on track for a top 10 finish. But Rogue Warrior, they're looking to bring us back into a game 3 potentially. We'll have to wait and see how it all goes down. But we are on to the Rift, and we'll wait for the Gyos. Beautiful, as always. And it's been a while since we've seen the Xayah Rakan combination. Of course, Xayah and Rakan both getting some decent little buffs while being in the lane together. You get an extra... I don't know if they saw that. There was a little bit of effect there, but Xiaoxi is behind enemy lines, and I don't know what eStar want to do with this.
I think Xiaoxi is probably just looking for a late ward here. Michi didn't spot that. He walked all the way over and didn't go in the brush. Maybe they look for a 2v2. I think Xiaoxi's just going to have to dip once again. They're going on to Chocho.
Well, they got some aggression coming in here, and it feels like Chocho might have to use his flash. Uses the pulverize. Ignite goes down. Chocho! Chocho! First blood going over to eStar, and the invade works.
I guess, I mean, look, it's Aatrox, right? So he's probably going to start on the raids. So they assume that Harrow is going to start on the raids because it's like Aatrox and Kayn, champions like this, like to start on the raids instead, or chickens as they are now. Showing my age there. So I guess Xiaoxi basically saying, look, I can sneak into the tri-brush. Let's just try and make a cheese play. I was thinking he was going to go for a late ward, but Chocho stays a little bit too long. Nice, easy pick. I like that they're willing to just go that aggressive.
Yeah, especially when you look at the side of Rogue Warrior. They just didn't see it. They had no idea. Yes, you saw Rat taking a little bit of damage, but then they were separated. They wasn't a 2v2. It was a 1v2 on both sides as the Orianna came down as well. So I really do like this from the side of eStar. And overall, just a very creative play. And you kind of need that in this league. You need that kind of creativity to keep your opponents on their toes, keep them honest.
I just love that we're seeing crazy level 1 shenanigans coming out from eStar. They won the first game as the underdogs. They're coming into this tournament where everyone has been underrating them, right? Everyone's been saying that eStar aren't going to be able to have a scratch on any other team. And then they come into this game with 1-0 up, and they start the level 1 with just pure cheese. Now a flash in the mid lane.
Yeah, flash in the mid lane. Forge has to flash himself away. The Q will not do enough damage from Hacker. Is going to get the early summoner advantage, though, for Irma. And this is kind of what we wanted to see in the first game when Hacker picked up the Pantheon. We wanted to see him going a little bit more aggressive, a little bit, you know, using that early priority to get his lanes ahead.
Yeah, and just to, like, give people context on the expectations. eStar, their first series of the tournament, they went 1-2 versus BLG, losing out by 1 game there. And they did manage to get a win for themselves, but they were definitely the underdog coming into that one. In terms of predictions, like, I'm pretty sure every single caster predicted Rogue Warriors over eStar here. Like, the expectation for this team has been very, very low. So if they can get a win against Rogue Warriors, don't just think of Rogue Warriors as where they were in the table at the end of last year. This is actually a decent looking roster. So this would be an upset for eStar. If they could find a 2-0 here, this would be a really, really, really big moment and a great sign for what this roster could have to come.
That being said, any kind of predictions this week I feel are out the window and don't really mean anything purely because everyth's up in the air. IG win, IG lose. Suning win, Suning lose. RNG swap their mid to top laner, doesn't matter. Full AP Malphite and Orianna top gonna win you the match. It feels very disjointed and hard to just kind of call what's actually going to happen. But we see Hacker finding himself a Aatrox in his jungle as there was mid priority. So you can see Forge roaming down with Harrow. And he's going to have to give up this buff, I feel. And he knows that he's been caught out. He knows that he's on vision right now. And does the rest of his team follow suit? They could go for something potentially, but it's going to be very difficult as Chocho is here.
Yeah, Hacker, you got to get out of there, man. These are not your Krugs anymore. You can see that the bot lane prio means Chocho can just move on in. There's a huge wave crashing. A 1v1 in the top side, though.
Oh, this is ZS putting down that Renekton dominance. But the thing is, once you turn away and he's on mini-Gnar form, you lose a huge chunk of HP just purely because he's able to keep chasing you down. So have to be very, very careful of that. But Irma moving away from the mid lane. Flash in. Q Dissonance able to take him down. And that is a perfect start now for this top side for the side of eStar.
Really nicely done from ZS there, and a great roam from Irma to punish this. As Ziv, I think, with the fact that Hacker was on the bottom side getting bullied out of his jungle, he was like, you know what, I'm safe to push out a little bit. I'm safe to play this one a little more dangerous, and gets punished very heavily. Nice roam from Irma, and it's good to see eStar actually playing the opposite side of the map here. When everybody was committed from Rogue Warriors on that bottom side, Irma makes a play towards the top side.
Yeah, and I love this as well. We talked about how the Syndra-Orianna matchup is kind of even Stevens. No one really going to gain a huge advantage unless they completely outplay someone. So they're moving to other lanes. You saw Irma moving towards the top side. Before that, Forge went towards the bot. They're looking to try and make plays elsewhere because they know that the chances of making them in the mid lane are just very, very low.
And I have to say, I've been impressed by Irma so far in this series. We came in saying, look, Irma has been very good in team fights, like clearly a solid player. Shockwave in the mid lane.
Shockwave, Ignite, and the Grand Entrance means that is another kill for Irma. Starting off this game like he did the last. 2 kills now on the board. Very nicely comboed.
Beautifully done from Irma. Just as I'm trying to praise him, he goes and gets yet another kill for himself. This is both games in the series now where he is snowballing out of control individually. The first game was off a bunch of skirmishes. This time around, this ain't just skirmishes. This is him finding advantages for himself.
No flash for Forge either means that he was just a sitting duck effectively in that mid lane, and great capitalization there from Shousey, knowing that he had the advantage. All he had to do was get on top of that Syndra. And this is kind of the problem now. Even though they, the Rakan had left, they are still going forward because they have the pressure. They have the advantage here from the side of eStar, and there's nothing Rogue Warrior can do. They need to find something else around the map.
And let's bear in mind, for the side of Rogue Warriors, this is a composition that's going to spike incredibly hard when those first mythics come through. Like, bear in mind, Syndra, it's a champion that when you finish a Ludens on Syndra, suddenly you start one-shotting people with your ultimate. Same for Samira, where once you've got that shield bow, you can really get into the thick of the fight. Samira, not exceptionally strong before level 6, obviously, if Alistar can get in. But bear in mind, Chocho died at level 1, so they immediately were on a back foot in this bottom lane. So it's been a much more difficult start than they were wanting when they drafted Alistar Samira for the lane. Harrow, though, wants to change their fates here.
Yeah, he does want to go for Harrow is here, so it's a 3v3, but Samira gets caught up by the root, knocked up by the Pulverize, and that is just too much, too easy for the side of eStar. Harrow was there. They had it. They had the counter gank available, but he just didn't do anything.
Yeah, it's all gone a little bit wrong. And actually, Rogue Warriors are getting chased out of this bottom lane completely. Beautifully done from Hacker. He's just waiting in the river. I don't know if he knew whether Harrow was there or not, but I think he maybe at least suspected it. Gets the counter gank beautifully. And, Chocho goes in, but once Alistar's combo is up, before level 6, he's a sitting duck, and Shousey will not let you go anywhere on this Rakan.
Look at just the level differences right now on that bot side. 6 for Rat and Xiaoxi, 5 and 4 for Michi and Shosho. This is the difference in, you know, and it's a huge, massive difference between what makes Alistar effective and not. Is that he can't really go for these aggressive plays, like you said, without that ultimate, because you can see here, it goes in with the headbutt pulverized, but he has to immediately back away even with the aftershock, because he's just so squishy. Watch, he just gets melted here.
Yep, fantastic stuff coming out from them. And let's bear in mind that there is not really a single point in the map that Rogue Warriors have strength right now. You've got eStar that they've made a kill happen on Ziv in the top lane. Irma roamed up for that one. About a kill mid. Now they're looking for a kill on Forge.
See if they can find him out here. Forge is going to fall down. Chocho cannot help him anywhere, shape, or form. Arrow is off to the side again, but an ignite down. Hacker picks that one up very, very easily, and this is snowballing very, very quickly out of Rogue Warriors' hands. And what happened? This is the team that beat Top Esports. Where did they go? What happened to them?
Yeah, I don't know, man. Rogue Warriors, this is meant to be the team that is just pure chaos, that thrives in that chaos. This game has been chaotic, but it is eStar leading the charge on every single play. They are the team that are setting the pace, and Rogue Warriors, they're just dancing to the beat of the drum that eStar are hammering on right now. Doesn't feel like Rogue Warriors are even on the same page with one another. The plays that they have made have been answered perfectly.
I think, yeah, just kind of down to a synergy kind of setup of eStar seem like they're very much aware of what the team wants to do, where they want to go, who they want to try and help out, whereas Rogue Warriors are playing very reactively, and even then reactively in the sense of, we don't even know if we can take this. Look at this bot lane. It's just kind of slowly but surely getting bigger and bigger and bigger for Rad. He's now 20 CS up. He's got himself 4 kill participations with a kill in his back pocket. He is so close to his first, his mythic item. He's going to be a monster, and this is supposed to be a late game hyper carry. This is the, the Xayah that we talked about a couple of days ago, where this guy just, this champion doesn't really feel strong until you hit about 2.5 items, and then it actually feels like it can do something. Right now, it feels like it's going to be online very, very early.
And we talked about the fact that Rogue Warriors will spike up one item, right? With the Syndra, with the Samira. These champions become way more impactful once they have finished the first item. They're going to be hitting that point so much later than their lane opponents. The fact that Forge is 0-2. I called for Forge to play something like the Syndra. I asked for this, and it is not working out at all for him. Down in CS, obviously 2-0-2 on his lane opponent of Irma. Irma will be able to finish an item very, very early in this game, just because of how far ahead he's been managed to be put. And bear in mind, they got themselves the Herald as well. I'm curious where Hacker's going to drop that and whether they try and force a dive off the back of that play. I feel like they could. They've got themselves a Rakan and a Pantheon, a ton of CC to work with. You've got a Shockwave that you can use as well. So honestly, it feels like this composition from eStar is fantastic at pushing these leads even further. And look at this, Irma just solo grabbing plates. He has nothing to fear in this mid lane.
He knows he's, still very, very safe. Chocho is still level 5, still waiting on that unbreakable will to keep him as a tanky boy so they can go for those dive opportunities. While Xiaoxi on the other side, with the quickness, is just able to roam around and just be a nuisance. You can't go on top of someone if you know that the Rakan is there, because it can be turned around so damn quickly. Plates galore going off on all lanes, realistically, as Xiaoxi and Rat just own this bot side. There's nothing the side of Rogue Warriors can do. You can see the 4-man team, it's just bigger and better. Oh,
there he goes. That's what's the 1v1.
Yeah, Ziv was being pushed back. Shockwave lands onto 2. They drop the Rift Herald into mid lane. Looks like trying to get the plates or as much gold as possible onto Irma, onto this Orianna. And so far, so good. It's been successful. They have yet to lose anything overall in this map in the first 13 minutes in this game. Yet to lose a plate at this point.
Yeah, it's getting rough here. Xiaoxi wants even more quickness popped.
Quickness has gone in. Chocho has to use the Unbreakable Will as well. They did get the Grand Skyfall out of Hacker. But overall, it's reactive from Rogue Warriors. It's them saying, right, we got to back away and hope we survive, while eStar are the ones making the proactive play, and it's great to see.
Yeah, and ultimately, there's nothing else Rogue Warriors can do but be reactive in this situation. They're very far behind, like 6,000 gold behind at this point in the game. All they get to do right now is go, don't worry, guys, we scale. Don't worry. It's just like your solo queue games where everything's gone wrong in the first 10 minutes. You're like, we scale, guys, we scale. I mean,
that's the thing. Do they, though?
in terms of scaling, like when you look at the top side, like Gnar and Aatrox are definitely going to feel more impactful in the later stages of the game than a Renekton and a Pantheon. Ziv's looking for this 1v1. He's got his team with it.
He's got his team with him, so it's not exactly a 1v1 as Ziv has to now hop himself out, but Irma already used the TP, and they've now got 4 people here. It's a 4v4, 5v4 if they can get the Pantheon here. He's just trying to play bodyguard, trying to keep him away, jumps straight onto forward, and takes him down. Hacker finds himself the kill. And what looked like a proactive play, we can see why they weren't doing proactive plays on the side of Rogue Warriors. It's just gone horribly wrong.
Forge is in shambles.
Hacker.
It's not even over.
It's not even over just yet. Shockwave is still there and available. The TP going to be coming in from base from Ziv, but it is too little, too late. They pick themselves up the mid lane tower. They get themselves 2 kills. 8-0, 7,000 gold, and we're not even at the 15-minute mark. This is a demolition by eStar.
Yeah, this is brutal. And honestly, I don't know what Rogue Warriors are expecting. I don't know why they're taking these fights. Rogue Warriors started that. Rogue Warriors wanted to go for this fight. You could see Ziv. He knows that in the 1v1, Gnar is going to have the advantage over Renekton, so he's trying to push that advantage. Little does he know that the entire squad from eStar is moving up towards that side of the map. Dragon was available on the map, but eStar intelligently move up to answer the play on the top side. And I mean, with Hacker being able to flank on top of it to get the kill on Forge, and then Shousey with the follow-up engage, followed by the shockwave from Irma. It's like everything just went so beautifully for the side of eStar.
For Hacker, honestly, this is just such an easy game. Like Harrow, we thought he's not died. He's not been the reason they've lost these immense amount of gold, but not being on something proactive, being on something that has to scale up and kind of work as a team fighter, just doesn't suit this guy, in my opinion. He can't use it as a Lee Sin kick. He can't really get those big off, you know, kind of out of nowhere engages. And I feel like Rogue Warriors are really hurting because of that.
Yeah, and one thing I want to say is that, you know, coming into this one, although maybe I don't have time because Ziv could be in trouble here. I think Ziv, he's seen this, he should respect this. I came into this saying, like, look, game number 1, a lot of that was Rogue Warriors losing out in the early skirmishes and falling behind, and then, you know, the rest is history. This game hasn't just been Rogue Warriors starting skirmishes and losing. It's not quite gone well mechanically. This has also been eStar doing a really good job to set up plays for themselves. They were the ones that were cheesing at level 1. They made plays happen on the bottom side of the map. They made plays happen on the top side of the map as well. This has been eStar setting the pace for the game, and Rogue Warriors struggling to get any grasp of what's actually happening and to be able to play against it.
Yeah, honestly, I have to agree. It just feels like it's eStar just playing smart, pushing their advantages where they need to, knowing where they are strong, knowing where they are weak, and backing off and going forward accordingly. You can see here ZS just giving so much respect to the fact that he's like, I haven't seen anybody in such a long time. So he backs immediately up away from that bot side. They gain themselves the Rift Herald. They're pushing towards the top side. This is all eStar. All they're doing is just showing a little bit of respect, and they gain everything.
And now they've got a Herald. Ziv, I think he realizes that he's going to be in trouble here if he sticks around. Hacker's moved up towards the top side. Irma's going to be able to shove one more wave. In fact, they might not even need to Herald this, honestly, because Irma can just very comfortably clear these waves. A couple more autos have finished this tower anyway. You could even just save the Herald for later.
Yeah, could save it for later. They're just going to use Hacker to be able to push this one down as quick as they possibly can. So like I said, I guess the early recall now as well with the improved Rift Herald recall. So we'll be get back on the map as quick as you possibly can. Still over 2 minutes till the next Dragon. Still yet to see any objective or any advantage really for Rogue Warriors. Yet to get a kill, yet to get an objective. This could be a perfect game if eStars play their card right, but it's so difficult nowadays to get a perfect game.
Yeah, I mean... It's very difficult to get a perfect game. Whether or not that happens, we'll have to wait and see. I think one of the most difficult things about that is that quite often you'll see that to commit to a play on the top side, you're going to lose something on the bottom side, right? But not this time, because they're answering for Ziv.
Yeah, they're just going to jump in on top of him. They have got the Grand Entrance and the quickness, but the stuns are good. Shousey has got Flash available to him, but he will not use it. The perfect game is dead, ladies and gentlemen. I'm sorry. They went for the play in the bot side rather than trying to defend the top, and that does mean that one tower does go over in favor of Rogue Warriors. But that's the kind of stuff that will keep you up at night, man. Like that could tilt eStar to the end of this game.
I don't want to like not be on board with the banter here, but eStar could not care less about that top tier one. They do not care about this perfect game.
I don't know, man. It feels like I would be sad. You know, I'd be upset.
This is flawless enough. Like, when you're 0-1 on the standings and you're a team that everybody's underestimated coming into the tournament, having a convincing lead, 8-0 at 18 minutes. Like, look at the gold difference. 7,000 gold at 18 minutes. There's nothing that's going to ruin this unless they throw it away. Irma could be in trouble here.
He should be fine.
He's trying to find his way in.
Yeah, he should be all right. They've got a turret there as well, and he's an Orianna, so plenty of control with the ball. Hacker was around to the side as well, so definitely not as dangerous as the side of Rogue Warriors thought. And Irma is just able to pick up some more waves. Keep going, keep pushing forward. And this is honestly the only thing that Rogue Warriors can do to try and come back into this game is look for those picks, is look for those, you know, outnumbers skirmish where they're at 3v1, they're in a 3v2, whatever it is. You can see Shousey, he feels like something's up. He feels like there might be people in the bush. Doesn't want to try and just test fate just yet. Dragon is up, and this feels like Rogue Warriors want to fight this right now. They're very, very far behind. There's a full item difference in the AD carries. So they have to be so careful when trying to approach this.
I have to say, I love watching Shousey on these hard engaged supports. I think that he is just so exceptional. Like, this game, he's been fantastic on the Rakan. Knows exactly what he can do. We saw it at level 1 where he knows that he can make these cheeky plays. And we've seen his engages have been fantastic. But now Rogue Warriors, they do want to contest this one. If they group up, this is over for them.
Forge, though, is trying to get himself out, as we can see Shousey with the quickness going in on the back side of this, and there's just no tankiness available to Chocho. Even with the ultimate, he is burst down immediately. Irma forced to flash. He's on the wrong side of the rift. The Dragon is still going. This is what Rogue Warriors know. They know if this game goes any longer, they are just too far behind. There's nothing they can do. Here's the Grand Skyfall just to try and set up something. Ziv still in Mega now. They're trying to wait for that one to go off.
Shockwave.
As eStar trying to go in. Flash from Irma, on top of Irma, excuse me, but there's no follow-up as the rest of his team are just deleted. There's nowhere for them to go. They haven't got a chance in hell. They finally pick up their first kill of the game. They almost get it with the Inferno trigger, but a flash in on top of Forge is all but ending the side of Rogue Warriors' chances in this game. 5 for 1, and this Dragon is very easily eStar.
And it's another fight for Rogue Warriors where Michi goes in at the end of the fight, tries to make the big play. Everybody survives on barely any HP, and they just can't quite make it work. And really, really nicely done. Once again, Shousey is looking amazing in these team fights. Everything that they did, Shousey completely answered. Look at that.
And yeah, Shousey had the perfect engage on the backside. You can see it here. Just Ziv doesn't have the damage to try and 1v1 the Orianna. Well, 1v2 as the Shousey was able to protect him a little bit, but I feel like that was your last chance, realistically, unless we see some massive mistakes from eStar coming out from, Rogue Warriors. That was the moment they knew that now, looking down the board, you're seeing massive items being picked up. 2 items for the Pantheon, 2.5 items, almost 3 for the Xayah. She is almost 100% online, and you haven't even gotten your second item yet for Samira. It just gets harder and harder the longer this game goes on, I feel.
Just take a glance over at the scoreboard for a second, because while we've been talking about Irma, we've been talking a bit about Rat and Shousey. Look at Hacker's scoreline right now. 8-0-1. This is no longer Pantheon. This is Mantheon. He's got his Sterix gauge. He's got himself the God Trigger. He's even got a stopwatch in case he ever goes too deep. I'm not even sure it's possible to go too deep when you've got this many items, but if he ever does, he can buy himself a bit of time as well.
Well, Ziv and ZS looking for a bit of 1v1 time, but TP going to be committed here by Irma. Do they try and look to try and catch him out? He will have Mega Gnar very, very soon. The rest of Rogue Warriors are here. Shockwave lands, but it's only onto Ziv, who now has Mega Gnar available to him. Going golden from Irma to keep himself alive. The man drop comes in as Pantheon is here. It's 2 quick kills to Rogue Warriors. They're turning this one around. Rat's trying to keep this one alive to the side of eStar. He's just free hitting with the feathers. He will not go down, but Harrow is huge. It doesn't matter. Rat is bigger, and Rat takes himself down. Or takes that Harrow down, and they're able to keep chasing on to Chocho. Should be able to dive this one pretty damn easily. There's just too much damage, and Hacker easily able to tank that one up for his AD carry.
So 3 for 3 overall, but you know what? I think that Rogue Warriors have to be happy with that. Even though they end up losing the fight, the fact that they're able to trade evenly is still actually an achievement when you consider how far behind they are in this game. get a couple of bounties, excuse me, for themselves. And Harrow looked awesome in that fight. He finally got that opportunity where he's got the Gore Drinker, he's got himself a Phage as well. He finally gets to hit a couple of abilities on multiple targets, and you see the sustain that this Aatrox has. Imagine if this is an even game right now, and he can pull that off.
Yeah, and this was just an overextension from the side of eStar. Didn't really need to go for this.
Yeah, eStar trying to just force the issue. They felt like they were strong enough. The Shockwave only onto 1 is a huge issue. And then you see Chocho with a great engage. And Harrow here gets to just run into this massive grouped up fight. This is Aatrox's comfort zone. Look at this when he goes over the wall straight on towards Xiaoxi. Flashes for the knock-up and the sustain. Rat still had that Feather Storm, and this is what we were talking about with Xayah earlier on. This is why Xayah is coming back into the meta, because there is so many ways to dive onto the AD carry. That is Xayah's comfort zone, and with the buffs that we saw coming through, the Zeal items getting better, with the Hurricane getting cheaper as well. Like, these crit AD carries are starting to come into their own a little bit more. Xayah can really start to flourish.
Xayah is very, very close to that 3.5 out of mark. You see maybe just waiting for a couple more minions to try and go out. 4-0 and 7, just absolutely monstrous on this AD carry right now. And yes, for Rogue Warriors, going even is a massive achievement, but you need about, I'd say, about 6 or 7 more of those opportunities where you go even and no one's able to take any objectives before you. I can honestly, you know, legitimately say that you're back in this game.
Yeah, I mean, let's not beat around the bush. This is still really, really good for eStar. They're certainly not worried about this one right now. Hacker's still on a flawless 902 KDA, and he's only getting stronger. He's heading towards a GA. Bear in mind, he didn't even have to use that stopwatch we were talking about in the last fight. And you can see Rogue Warriors, they're not going to go down without a fight. They're going to try and defend this tier 2. But at any point in 40 seconds, eStar can just move over towards this Mountain Drake. They become even tankier with a Mountain Soul. Chocho escapes, but eStar can continue the siege.
Continue the siege. Mountain Soul going to be up in 20 seconds. But that's a Shockwave onto the backside, which means the rest of Rogue Warriors have to back away. They have not got the health bars to continue this. Forge, ooh, he was, I think, a literal pixel away from being in range of Hacker to be able to jump on top of him and get the stun. So, but with the damage being done, they've got themselves, you know, the pressure in this jungle. They walk towards that dragon. This dragon will be melted by the side of eStar. That's going to make it even harder for Rogue Warriors to even try and find that burst down, you know, odd number target.
Yeah, I mean, a Mountain Soul, when you've already got this Pantheon that's just so difficult to deal with in the fights, doing so much work to tank up for the team. It means that Xiaoxi as well can be a little bit more bold. One of the issues that historically Rakan has is that the best Rakans are really great at dipping in and out of the fight, because Rakan is incredibly squishy. The Mountain Soul just makes it that little bit easier for Xiaoxi to go as deep as he wants, and has that extra shield, has those extra resistances. So things looking pretty fantastic. You can see Rat now with 3.5 items, 2.5 on the side of Irma as well. Like, it doesn't really get much better than this. Also, Rat, he's on more than 10 CS per minute this game. He has been farming up a storm while all of this has been going on. When you consider how chaotic this game has been as well, it's kind of impressive.
Kraken Slayer, Essence Reaver, and the Infinity Edge, along with that Zeal, he is going to be chunking through these health bars right now. You have got the Starks Gauge and the Gore Drinker, though, for both the Nara and the Aatrox, so opportunities for Rogue Warriors if they're able to really get on top of these carries, but that's the big if, really. Rat will have his flash available to him in about 30 seconds. The Baron is up and available. They're just trying to keep their waves in order, but actually right now it feels like eStar don't really want to go for this particular one. As I say my god! Blink and you'll miss it. Harrow is now on the backside against a 1v1. That's not what he wants. He wants to be hitting multiple targets, and this is a 3v4 in the mid lane. I don't think Rogue Warriors can defend this, and Irma just has to play keep away. He just needs to keep the Aatrox off of this tower, away from his teammates, and that's all he has to do.
Yeah, I mean, Inhib's gonna go down. I don't know what you can do on the side of Rogue Warriors here. Harrow now going to get chased away across the map. He's trying to sustain, but it's just not going to happen. And hey, look, here's a giant purple worm just on a platter. Harrow has led us right to it. How convenient. Straight on towards this one. You know, these fights, the longer the game goes on, there's less to analyze, right? This is just a monumental gold lead, a Mountain Soul. Like, You saw how fast Forge
Let's see how
died.
quick
Like,
this was.
What
Let's
do
see
you
how
even
quick
do?
this was. What's this? Let me see. 1, 2, 3 auto attacks. 3 auto attacks and he's dead. It's insane.
Yeah, Zaya's in a really strong spot, especially with the Blade Caller coming through as well. You're able to get the Sheen procs off of your abilities, so there's extra burst damage there. When you're critting on basically every auto attack, he's now at 80% crit chance, so with the IE, he's doing some damage, that is for sure. And realistically, even though you've got a couple of members on the side of Rogue Warriors that are building a bit tanky, like you've got the Sterix on Ziv as well as the Ninja Tabbies, or the Plate Steel Guards, sorry. Realistically, who else is tanky at all? Like, Harrow doesn't even have upgraded boots right now. Rat, anyone that steps in front of him, he's just going to shred.
Let's find out. Let's test your theory as Ziv is in front of him. Has to jump away. Use the big old boulder as well, but still yet to see exactly how much damage this AD carry can do. With the Baron buff, they're able to push in the mid lane, which they obviously took just before that Baron buff went down, so they have plenty of pressure across the map. And this right now is just, you know, cross your T's, dot your I's, get the win, and very clean 2-0 if that's how it goes for the side of eStar.
Maybe eStar are back. Maybe this is it. Or maybe we got a little overhyped on Rogue Warriors when Top eSports were heavily throwing games. We'll have to wait and see as the season progresses. Top Inhib goes down. And looks like eStar are going to play very respectfully here and, you know, dot all the I's, cross all the T's, go for all 3 of the inhibs before they close this one out. I feel like they could just walk it into the base, honestly, but you know what? If you can, why not go for the victory lap?
Yep, Dominus been popped there by ZS, just to make sure he's as tanky as he can be. Chocho jumps in, trying to catch out as many people as they possibly can. Good ult from Ziv, but it's just not really going to be enough as Rat is still alive. Rat is still putting out the DPS. You can see they're throwing everything in the kitchen sink at this AD carry, but it does not matter because the Orianna and the rest of his team has got his back. That is almost certainly going to be the game. A clean 2-0 here for eStar over Rogue Warriors. And this league is just becoming the league of upsets because it's actually eventually it doesn't become an upset because everyone just beats everyone, and that's how LPL does.
The next set of power rankings is just going to have everyone at 8th place tied. eStar, fantastic series here over Rogue Warriors, and you're right, like Rogue Warriors are a team that have been upsetting the big dogs, and now eStar are upsetting Rogue Warriors, so it's like, what on earth are the expectations moving forward? And I was coming into this series saying, hey, this is going to be one for me that sets the expectations for these two teams, that tells us how strong these teams are really. And eStar, they took a game off of BLG as well. They look clean today against Rogue Warriors. I think eStar might be a team that we've all been sleeping on.
I think maybe it's a bit early to be saying that, but I agree with you. There are definitely some positives coming in for eStar. I feel like, you know, Hackers look very good. I think Irma looks great, in my opinion. Rat has his ups and downs. There's definitely question marks about this team, so they definitely have decent shining lights. It's just whether or not they shine brighter than other teams is kind of how I would look at it. But overall, positives for eStar. And Rogue Warriors, yeah, you got to try and figure out what you're going to do when Harrow's not going to be on a super early game jungler, because that Aatrox eventually did damage, but at that point it was too late.
Yeah, he had one team fight that looked pretty good. Unfortunately, it was a little bit too late. They were already too far behind, so ultimately, though, I will say this